Yep. Hi, Jack. It's good to see you. I'm sorry I couldn't make the channel live session. Obviously, I had my trip to Australia, which made that I couldn't make it. But I would get the feedback from the guys that attended your stand was that it went really, really well. And I was just kind of curious to get your view on it. What was the general consensus view from people that were coming to your stand?
Yeah, I mean, it's got pleasure to see you again. Well, I hope you recovered from your tiresome trip to Australia. Not sure I would prefer to be there than an NEC, but nevertheless. Well, the exhibition was a really big success for us, and I'm really pleased that we chose NEC to launch Cross Connect platform, both with your chaps and us. It created a lot of interest within the partners and resellers, which just to a certain extent proved that our line of thought was correct, because the cross connect, basically, if it can be described quite quickly, it's a fine-tuned UCaaS platform, fine-tuned by resellers for resellers. And actually, it really bore fruit, where people were really engaging with the concept and seeing what we've done. So, yeah, in a short word, absolute success. We definitely going next year because the number of inquiries we received is well exceeded our expectations, to be honest with you.
Yeah, the guys were saying that the key topics that they were continually being asked about was reliability seemed to be a really big topic that a lot of the resellers were talking to them about. Scalability, again, another one of those, which I guess comes with a consistent offering as well. Security seemed to be front of mind for a lot of them. Does that echo what you heard?
Absolutely. I mean, as you know, I've been in this business for a few years now. And I must say the ecosystem within the channel changed quite a lot in the last 10 years. The resellers are far more informed, far more aggressive and understanding and looking for bits and pieces that are missing right now. So let's say this 15, 20 years ago, there was the shift between ISDN to hosted, which was painful enough for many resellers. However, now the ecosystem is the change between the hosted to hosted, between platforms. So the important bits is the automation, the ability to use APIs to move it quicker. Obviously, ability to scale up, because in a recent history, as you know, again, resellers were not aware of this, let's say 10 years ago. But now they are coming to fruition that certain platforms are just can't scale anymore. That's it. It sort of reached the limit, and no matter what go faster stripes you're going to put on it, it still will be where it is. And resellers are becoming fully aware of this. So definitely the scalability, stability, which is another part which we could offer, and there were questions asked about this. Which is quite easy to answer, since TSI has a 30-year-long history in business. So it's not something that we created yesterday, came up with the idea, and off we go. It's based on a experienced team that been in the business for 30 years. You can't really beat that, to be honest with you. Yeah, and it really did show in the responses we received.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny. Much of what you're talking about was echoed in what I found in Australia. We were supporting Tim Jackson and his new products, who you've obviously met at the UGM, and key takeaways from that. And there was hundreds of resellers that were coming to those roadshows were along the similar lines, really. There's a real need to be able to create unique service propositions so you can maintain your margins or improve your margins, and being able to play well with other elements in order for you to build unique service propositions. I think is something that all resellers are looking for right now. It seems to be front of mind for everybody, and just taking more control, I think, of of their offer as a whole, really. And I guess the other thing that we've seen is that kind of the big tech starting to put its brand in front of end users, and I don't think that's being particularly well received by the channel. They can you kind of feel that that's being recognized as the thin end of the wedge, if you know what I mean, and the ability for resellers to be able to kind of shape things in their own image and take greater control of their products and ensure that they continue to have those monthly recurring revenues and not get forced down a kind of commission element or professional services route.
Absolutely.
Doesn't matter where you are in the world. It seems to be that's what the progressive resellers are seeking to do.
Yes, but I think the whole resale business, the community, was built on added value, and the idea was that the reseller is capable of molding the product for the end user in a far more competitive and interesting way, where they can take different products. So if you're talking about large players, it's similar to Ferrari. You can have any color as long as it's red. Yeah. So if you then think, right, for this customer, we'll take this from this shelf, that from this supplier, we'll put it together and present it as a solution, which works, and it worked for many, many years. But yes, there is this fear. However, I must say that the resellers are becoming a bit bolder, more looking at being able to be fully white label playing with a fully white label products, where they no longer really seek the support of the vendor, and they are more than willing to actually saying, okay, this is ABC limited platform, or we're not selling under a big boy's name or a hat.
I've seen a clear trend over the years where I guess there was some big technology brands that helped or potentially assisted in the sale of a solution to particular customer groups, but I think now that that's not really needed. I think that you've got a new type of buyer that's out there that's very comfortable with buying a managed service from its MSP or its ISP. It doesn't need a kind of technology brand underneath it. And I think that when you've got that new type of buying behavior, that's really good for a reseller, because a reseller wants to truly truly convey to its customers that it is the service provider, that I'm the one that you ring when you're in trouble, I'm the one that you pay when it's me that delivers a service for you, and you don't need to confuse them with other brands.
I fully agree with you that that is a lot more sort of informed bias, and people and users are far more comfortable with the technology because they already used it. So that's what I meant by saying that the ecosystem changed a lot, because when you were trying to convince a large company to switch from the old technology to new, you potentially needed a big boy behind you to put away the fears and the worries and everything else. Now that potentially big buyer has been on the new technology for the past 10 years, so all those fears are basically put to bed, to a certain extent. So there shouldn't be a problem there at all. So that's why the resellers are, I'm not sure whether bolder is the right word for it, but they realize that they can fly solo, and if at the same time you give them the tools where they can actually service the end user by not having to go back to vendor when there is a problem, but actually solve it there and then, because they have access to a platform that allows them to do so. That makes them feel even far more comfortable. At NEC, we came with what we tried to do, and again, that's coming back from my history. Obviously, as you know, historically, there were parts of the industry in the UK where hosted just couldn't fly because it just didn't stack up financially. So we came up with different type of license where we open up the channel to your hotels, your schools, and that has really been taken by storm, where people realize, okay, we have a PSTN switch of 2025. What are we going to do? And suddenly with enabling the partner to go to the end user and say, yes, every single handset doesn't need to be so expensive because it's not being used. So I think we achieved that, and looks like it's really going to go down very well.
Yeah, it's interesting you should say that. There was when Access 4 were launching in Australia, one of the things Tim Jackson was talking about in that offer was their product is called UC Express, and one of the key audiences that they thought that they could target, and PSTN switch off happened a long time ago in Australia, incredibly competitive marketplace that you've got over there, but they still saw hundreds of thousands of PBXs deployed across Australia, which they were always struggling to be able to move to a fully hosted UC solution, because these things are bulletproof, Jack. You know what these things are like. That they'll stay there forever. They'll outlast us really in terms of their capabilities, and that became very difficult for people to be able to extract that kind of premise-based system that sat there in the corner. They paid $4,000 for it 10 years ago and it's still working perfectly. To move those to a monthly recurring income stream was really, really difficult. And Tim addressed that by obviously launching a solution that was more concurrent based in terms of its business model rather than per seat based. Is that something that you would echo?
That's similar. We try to mold it in a slightly different way, but nevertheless, it's out there being tested right now through our partners, because as you know, we are channel only, and we're getting very, very good reviews, let me put it that way, where suddenly they can really go and propose a solution that will fit the bill and allow, even if we have to use the old technology, i.e. you're in a hotel sub 50 rooms, you still can use analog OTAs and still put them on a hosted, without really the need to shut the hotel down for 2 weeks because you need to do the cabling, for example. So
I think all of those high contention verticals, I think, are absolutely kind of a disruptive pricing model you can take into those sectors, and you can do extremely well from it. So broadly, you were happy with everything that you saw there?
Yes, I was very happy. Apparently I was talking a lot, which ended up in me losing my voice after 2 days, but that's probably the price we have to pay. Very excited. Definitely we're going to go next year. Hopefully you guys will come with us, because I think it benefited the both parties, and actually having you there as support was really, really useful. So yes, most definitely. I mean, there were a few surprises at the show, where companies that what you would expect as a part of the furniture in this type of exhibitions were not there. Raised quite a few eyebrows and posed quite a few questions. But I think potentially, if you put some thought into it, it's because they realize that there is a different drive within the resale market, within the community, whereby potentially they'll have to concentrate in delivering something slightly different that they're delivering right now. The white labeling is a big problem, whereby the end user want to have their own access to the platform.
Yeah, I think it all comes back down to this control thing, doesn't it, Jack? That it's becoming increasingly important for progressive service providers to create unique solutions for their end audience. And I think some providers that have had legacy platforms struggle to do that. They've grown very good by producing kind of, as you say, any color you like, as long as it's red type of offerings, highly scalable, but uniform in their offer. That's driven, pretty much the only thing I can compete on is price as being an outcome of that. And then when you combine that with a lack of control over what you can do and what services you can offer and what you can integrate with, I think that's it's a difficult tenable position as such. No surprise really for me. But I'm pleased that you did it. I mean, my guys, Ida and Nigel, they really enjoyed the time on the site. There seemed to be lots and lots of interest and a long hopper of prospects for you to kind of follow up on. So
yeah.
I guess I look forward to seeing the outcomes of those.
Well, that definitely makes two of us, Scott. But as I said, the signs are very good and exceeded my expectation, which is, well, that's all you can really expect and achieve. So,
that feels like a result to me.
yeah.
Okay, well, I'll keep you no longer, Jack, and I guess we'll speak and see each other soon.
Scott, always a pleasure. Thank you very much for your time. Take care.
Take care. Yes, bye.